And greetings, friends. It's good to see some people's faces who I've known from previous events and to also meet some new friends. So Chris asked me to speak a little bit on the power of one and how one Rotarian can make a difference in our troubled world. And I'm going to give you an example how any Rotarian, just like those of us sitting here at this meeting, can do extraordinary things through the leverage and through the power of Rotary. Because I believe that Rotary is not an A-shaped pyramid like we see in the business structure. In fact, Rotary is an inverted pyramid because it's the Rotarians and the Rotary clubs around the world who are at the top of the organization. Under that, we have the district governor and the district committees and the district team. At the very bottom, we have Rotary International with the Rotary International staff, the Rotary International directors, and the Rotary Foundation trustees. Because everything that's ever happened in Rotary and all of the programs and the activities we see at the RI level these days actually can be traced back where they started by a Rotarian who shared an idea in his Rotary Club with his members, and it grew from there. And of course, with World Polio Day, I'm going to share with you the history behind the history of polio, which has become the largest health initiative known to mankind. But it all started with the seeds planted by a Rotarian by the name of Dr. Benny Santos. Approximately 25 years ago, I sat at Rotary Club of Mabalacat meeting in the Philippines near Angeles City. I sat beside Dr. Benny, who shared with me how he had the idea of inoculating the poor children in the shantytown communities in their area. So as a club project, they went out on Saturdays and they inoculated all of the children against polio. And it became such a large project that they had to solicit the help from the local nursing school to assist them. It spilled over into other clubs in their district. Soon it spilled over into other districts and across the Philippines itself into what is currently now with 11 districts. Moving further on, Rotary International developed this idea of a 3H grant program. And the president of Rotary International at that time, Clem Renoff, put a call out around the world for clubs and districts to submit ideas for a 3H grant project. And the idea of the 3H grant project was it was matching grant projects over 150,000 that was too big for one club or one district to handle, so that it was a joint district initiative, or at least the opportunity to do larger projects. So one of the proposals came from the Philippines, and they were proposing to inoculate all of the children against polio in their country. As it turned out, the RI president wanted to have a signature project that could be completed by the end of his presidential term. So the Philippine Polio Initiative was chosen as the first 3H grant project. And as time went by, I got to meet the district governor of that time, who became a good friend of mine, Paeng Hatchanova, who went on to become an RI president, and the RI director at that time, who became friends with as well, Matt Capras. He went on to become the one and only RI president from the Philippines. So these three gentlemen truly lived the power of one, and through their planting of seeds, through their encouragement of their club or their district or their zone, they brought polio to the world stage, at least to start with, in the Philippines. And so when I talked to these three gentlemen on multiple occasions, they shared with me that they went to meet with the Minister of Health of the Philippines, and they needed $1 million to help put this initiative together, and they were soliciting funds from the government to assist Rotary in this project. They told me that he just leaned back in his chair and he kind of laughed at them. They said, "You guys are crazy. You can never pull something like this off. It's impossible." So they kept talking to him. They kept trying to lobby him to support the initiative. So finally he said, "Look, I need you to do something for me." And he says, "In a way, it'll be a test." He said, "I need to inoculate 500,000 children for measles." And he said, "If you can help me do that job, I will give you your $1 million. So it was kind of like a challenge or a test that he passed on to Rotary. And if we could pass that test, he was going to support us. Well, you know that Rotarians don't take challenges lightly. And so they accepted the challenge. And yes, within a very few number of weeks, the Rotarians went out and they helped the government inoculate 500,000 children. And as a result from that, Rotary was able to be the beneficiary of the government support, both financially and in moral support. So that went on to become the very first initiative of polio globally, because one Rotarian, Dr. Benny Santos, shared the idea of a project with his Rotary Club. And of course, I think we know the history there. From there on, we've partnered up with UNICEF, WHO, and of course, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. But like many things in Rotary, people don't really know where the start of the history came from. We get told by Rotary International the history books that they share when it became an international project, but often they don't share further back as to how the roots of this got started by a single Rotarian in many cases before it got to the doorsteps of our Evanston headquarters. So Dr. Benny Santos, past RI Director Pang Hatchinova, and past RI President Matt Capras were the three men who had the power of one, each individually, to start and grow and develop what has now become the largest health initiative known to mankind that Rotary's been involved in. So that's just a short story of how one person can truly make a difference in our troubled world, and how all the Rotarians can gather around at the club, the district, the zone, and the Rotary International levels to make a significant difference, to help share a light of hope into those dark corners of despair, making a huge difference in the lives of those that we may never know. And of course, I think we see the reports. The one just came out recently, where from 350,000 cases of polio a year, back when we started this 35 years ago, now to only 2 so far this year, 1 in Pakistan, 1 in Afghanistan. That truly is a remarkable accomplishment, but we can't give up. We got to keep going. The finish line is coming close, but we really do need to raise another $50 million this year. What other organization can claim that the Gates Foundation will match us 2-to-1? There's no other organization that does that. There's no other organization that has senior level status at the United Nations. There's no other level that can get $5 million from Google towards our polio campaign. Just recently, the Canadian government announced some more money for polio. So we've already received over $940 million from our Canadian government. So any of you that touch base with your members of parliament, please do acknowledge that and thank them for that. And by the way, Rotary has funded over $2.2 billion for eradication of polio around the world. So we're just this close, folks. We're just this close in order to eradicate this disease from the globe. It'll be a great day. It'll be a great celebration coming up soon when we accomplish that task. So if anybody wants to ask any questions or have some discussion, I'm certainly open to do that.
First of all, thank you very much. I owe you a big one, a really big one for coming today. Beyond that, how can an individual access their power of one? How can they start making a difference?
Well, I think if we make the umbrella larger in Rotary generally, each of us has an interest in doing things. Each of us has a passion, and I think it's partly passion, it's partly relationship, because things in our world, and especially things in Rotary, they work on a relationship. So number one, we got to build relationships within our clubs, within our district, and that means getting involved in district initiatives, going to your district convention, going to district training events, sitting down beside Rotarians from other clubs at the lunch table or wherever you may be. So build those relationships, build that network in Rotary, and then start planting seeds for whatever passion you have in Rotary. We all have the same end goal in mind. Some are more interested in international service. Some are interested in youth service. Some are interested in Rotary Foundation and raising money. But it's Rotarians that make a difference, and we got to celebrate those successes and share our passions with other people and bring them along, because it's kind of like the trickle-down effect, or in this case, the triple-up effect. It's the Rotarians who share their thoughts and their ideas on a need that they have identified. How can we address and help that need? Join with leaders and create some discussion, develop some project plans, and then take action to make a difference, to make an impactful difference in our troubled world. And that, that could be locally, globally, whichever way you want. But two kind of closing points there. One is that we do community service projects all around the world. So our international service, they're still community projects. It's just that we're scaling our community projects globally. And I think the other thing we need to do is we need to share public awareness and public image with all of our friends, our neighbors, our relatives, whether it's social media, whether it's at the coffee shop. We all got to have our little 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute elevator pitch to tell people what we're passionate about in Rotary, what drives our crank in Rotary, and make sure our friends hear about what we're doing and what we enjoy about Rotary, not what Rotary is, but more what Rotary does and what I do in Rotary and why I enjoy it. And then finally, Rotarians need to take credit. It is not the Rotary Foundation that does good work in the world. The Rotary Foundation is only a financial tool that we use to do stewardship over the funding, issue the tax receipts, but behind it is the Rotarians. The power of one Rotarian can make a difference. And it is the Rotarians in every Rotary Club around the world that does the good work in the world. It's not the foundation. The foundation is merely the management and the financial tool. It's the Rotarians who put that money in there. It's the Rotarians who oversee where the money goes, the legitimacy of the projects, and the stewardship of the money. Then the last part of that, Chris, is go and visit the projects that you're doing. There's nothing like walking in to a shantytown village and the parents are coming to hug you because of what Rotary has done. The children are hanging on your patent eggs because you're the man wearing the Rotary logo on your shirt. Go and witness the gratitude of those people that you're helping, and it will absolutely change your life.